West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066. And the Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Resiliency. Visit energy.gov.ky or follow the National Energy Policy on Facebook and Instagram. And by the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey. Visit gov.ky/steps to learn more. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Canaan Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees so fair. Today is Friday, the 19th day of May 2023, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. We hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Again, those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road. When driving at night, drive with your low beam. Use your high beam only when necessary. Always bear in mind that your high beam, the bright lights, are going to affect the drivers in coming in the opposite direction. Not only that, can affect those persons who are ahead of you as well when they're using their rear view mirrors also. And whenever you are negotiating a roundabout signal, please use your signals to indicate where you're going. If you are driving a vehicle that is towing a trailer or something behind, let's say like a jet skis, had an incident yesterday morning, and the JA who was driving that vehicle, and when I say JA, I don't mean Junior Achievement, but I won't say anything else other than that. Their lane was blocked because of an accident. You have to realize that if you're driving on a 2 or 3 lane road, and if your lane is blocked, the drivers in the other lanes have the right of way. So in order for you to merge into that lane, you have to give way. You have to give way. You can't just simply because your lane is blocked, move over to the other lane. And sometimes those things, those trailers that you are towing behind your vehicle, they are so low, depending on the type of vehicle you're driving, it is more difficult for you to see them. And as a result of that, those drivers need to be more careful. They should have proper markers on what they're towing, just like vehicles should have whenever there's protruding items that are protruding, like if you're carrying a pipe, metal or PVC, or if you have lumber on the back, that you have that red flag there as well, to ensure that other drivers can see what is behind you. But bear in mind, when your lane is blocked on the highway, you do not have the right of way, you do not have the legal right to simply just switch to other lanes or to force other drivers to stop. You have to wait until it's clear, because the other drivers whose lanes are clear, they have the right of way. Just like when you're in a merging lane, the drivers that are going straight, that their lane is clear, they have the right of way. So just to remind you of that. And maybe we should look at, I'm sure that people don't want to, maybe legislators don't want to put too much burden, too much pressure on the drivers on the road. But we have to start to look at when we allow certain types of vehicles on our roads. Dump trucks, for instance. There should be a restriction in terms of the time of the morning that they should be on the road to allow other traffic to get where they're going. Similarly, if you're towing jet skis or whatever, or those landscaping companies, they need to be restricted on the roads, because they are some of the most reckless drivers, on the road as well. So just to remind you of that, ensure that you observe the rules of the road. And folks, all of these things that I'm telling you, if you do those, then the life you save may be your own. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday. Or if you've celebrated one over the past few days, we want to wish you belated happy birthday as well. And to remind you that, for the record, birthday shoutouts proudly brought to you by More Than Words, your gateway to local books and more. Connect to your culture, tap into your roots. More Than Words, located on the second floor of the Thompson building. For those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing to you as well. Those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility here in the Cayman Islands or overseas, we wish you a speedy recovery. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy and dangerous roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. Again this morning, that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson waiting to take your calls. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us, 925-3261. We can also take calls from that number as well, 925-3261, one call at a time as well. You can follow us on YouTube. You do that by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream, and we are on Facebook as well. So the phone lines will be open this morning. Let's look at the birthday greetings first, and to remind you that the For the Record birthday shoutouts today are proudly brought to you by More Than Words, your gateway to local books and more. Connect to your culture, tap into your roots. More Than Words, located on the second floor of the Thompson building. So on Wednesday, there was a message that I didn't get the opportunity to read from my WhatsApp, and I was asked to give a birthday shout out to Mrs. Alva Miles on Wednesday. I was unable to do that, so today we are sending her belated happy birthday greetings going out to Miss Alva Miles and Miss Marva. Miss Marva shared that with me and wanted to recognize Miss Alva's birthday as well. As far as birthday goes, tomorrow we see Yasmini Virginia Castillo. She will be celebrating a birthday. Further down in May, on Sunday, the 21st of May, we have Miss Della Jean Watler Marte. She's celebrating her birthday. Barbara Burns celebrating a birthday on Sunday. Ken Jones celebrating a birthday on Sunday as well. And again, to remind you that For the Record birthday shout-outs today Brought to you by More Than Words, your gateway to local books and more. Connect to your culture, tap into your roots. More Than Words, second floor, Thompson Building. So, folks, it is my pleasure to have in the studio again with me this morning none other than Dr. Steve McField. Dr. McField has been doing, the whole circuit as far as media is concerned. Yesterday, he was, on Sterling Drain's show as well, Talk Today. Then last night, meeting at the primary school in Bordentown. And of course, he's back on again this morning with us, Doc. It's got to be exhausting. We know you're in great shape and everything else, but after a while, you start to feel it a little bit. But I'm glad to have you in the studio with us again this morning. Good morning. Welcome, sir.
Good morning to you, Mr. For the Record, and good morning to all you listeners in For the Record land, and those who listen to you Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and those who listen to you in the Cayman diaspora. Yes, it's good to be back here. Of course, I have a lot of energy. I can tell you that this round of work has taken a lot out of me. Not only I'm going to be on your show this morning, but after I leave here, I have a meeting. We have a meeting with the opposition at the Legislative Assembly at 10, and so but it's been exciting. I always like to be on the cutting edge of everything that's happening, and I always like to be a part of it. I think that would be part of my history.
Your legacy, yes,
yes. Part of my legacy, yes.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. That's good to know. Just before we go to the commercial break, I just want to say to our audience, I do realize that on Wednesday, we had quite a few calls come in, about our Constitution, about voting as well. We do recognize that the conversation was basically restricted because we wanted to talk about what falls within the remit of the Electoral Boundaries Commission, and not the voting portion of it. And we know that many people were anxious to talk about that. So this morning we can go there because Dr. McField can speak in his capacity as not as a member of the Electoral Boundaries Commission, even though we'll talk about that as well. We'll talk about the meetings and how disappointing it has been in terms of the turnout, to those meetings as well. But Doc, you have a pretty good take on that as well as to, why people may not be turning out because there may be more pressing matters on their mind as well. And we'll talk a lot more about that when we return. So the phone lines will be open as well to give you an opportunity to talk about those things that you were unable to talk about on Wednesday. So folks, please stay tuned. For the Record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
Luke Carvin Forbes, J.P., 1914-1987. Luke Carvin Forbes was a pastor of the Breakers Church of God for many years. He also preached in Savannah, West Bay, Georgetown, Northside, and East End. He was a God-fearing man, of who a neighbor once remarked that the only time you heard his voice was when he was singing hymns. He was also a carpenter, a farmer, counselor, and a justice of the peace. One of his best-known carpentry projects was the building of the International College of the Cayman Islands. He and his wife, Mary A. Forbes, had 8 children.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Ensuring your existing appliances and equipment are cleaned and maintained regularly is an easy way to improve energy efficiency in your home.
Have your air conditioning equipment serviced by a professional. Make sure bathroom and kitchen exhaust fans and refrigerator coils are cleaned regularly, because the harder your appliances have to work, the higher your bills will be.
The do-it-yourself energy audits on energy.gov.ky make it easy to find ways to save energy and money in your home or business.
Complete an energy audit of your home or business before 31st of May 2023 to be entered into a prize giveaway. Prizes include a $5,000 gift certificate to Home Gas and gift certificates to Cooling Pros, Foam Pros, Cossy Less, and Foster's.
To learn more, visit energy.gov.ky today and follow the National Energy Policy on Facebook and Instagram.
She hear clunk and her car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN money transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
Are you feeling sick but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough, and sore throat to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
What exactly are the steps in the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey? Step 1 is a questionnaire where you'll be asked about your health behaviors and lifestyle choices. Step 2 involves home measurements like height, weight, and blood pressure. Lastly, Step 3 is a finger prick blood sample for cholesterol and glucose. STEPS 2023 starts on June 3rd. Learn more by logging on to www.gov.ky/steps.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
More Than Words, your gateway to local books and more. Connect to your culture. Tap into your roots. More Than Words bookstore in the Thompson Building. Supplies local books, gifts, trinkets, keepsakes, wall plaques, and journals. The hub for local authors. More Than Words. So much more. More Than Words is now open. Shop number 4, second floor Thompson Building. Or call 936-5544.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve McField. We have about 8 minutes and then we'll be going to our 8 o'clock news. Want to remind you, our phone lines are open, give you an opportunity to talk some more about things that you want to talk about. including the electoral boundaries review process or the voting part of it. We know that some of you are extremely vocal about the ability to vote. You're extremely vocal about the one person, one vote. Some of you have ideas about having a national vote. Some of you have ideas about not only having single member constituencies, the voting process for those, but having at large voting as well, similar to what is done in the places like the British Virgin Islands as well. And you've gotten some feedback from the members of the Electoral Boundaries Commission, in that regard as well. But Doc, you've spoken about the turnout at meetings, and we know that in Cayman, traditionally it was we couldn't even call them town hall meetings because there were some districts that didn't really use their town halls. You had it out in a public square or whatever, and people were accustomed to that. But when it comes to actually participating, when they get an opportunity to participate and to have their voices heard other than at the ballot box, there's that reticence to do that, and as a result, you're seeing, what should I say, a poor turnout as far as these meetings are concerned. But you believe that there are other factors at play as well.
Yeah, I think there are some factors that are involved. Firstly, it was in the past that I saw Caymanian people turn out for meetings, like when the Unity team was together, and they had meetings. Used to be hundreds of people there. I think because of the people who were leading the country at that time were exciting people. They were making strides. They were making achievements. They were promoting Caymanians 100%. But on the other hand, Caymanians really are not meeting people. They're not going and sitting in the town halls or in the places because a lot of them do not want to show their allegiance or their support for anyone, because that has always been something private to them. They don't want to be criticized by their neighbors or their friends. Well, you supporting this one and you supporting that one. And one of the other factors is that we are now in economic times where things like boundary commission meetings are not important to people. Priorities are finding the means to pay the light bill, to pay the large mortgage increases, to pay the CUC, to buy food, to put gas in their car, and to pay the car loans. They are not interested in coming out to hear something that they have that they think that they have no control of, and that's the problem that we see. Very, very poor turnout. I think last night there was only like 2 or 3 people that came in Baden Town primaries who accept those officials who were officiated, who were assisting with the meetings and so forth. Because we must understand that times are this in 2013 is not the same as 2020. 2023 is not the same as 2013. It has been a vast difference. And when you bear in mind, I think that what Caymanian people, some of the priorities Caymanian people talk about, not in the meetings as such, but outside of the meetings, and when they see me, is worried about the mass immigration that is taking place in the country at this particular time. They're worried about the seriousness of it, and they're worried about losing their heritage and their culture. And I believe that is why I was asking my sister and also my family, why is it that every time you get a break, you run to Cayman Brack? You go to the Brack. It is because I think psychologically they are thinking they were trying to recapture what they lost in Grand Cayman, and that is still the place where you can relax, and you're not burdened by pressure every day and so forth. Because people say to me, well, I go to the supermarket and I don't see any Caymanians there and so forth. And I say, well, times have changed. You got to realize that there's a reality. Times have changed. It's not going to be the same anymore. because everything is evolving. Your children are evolving, politics are evolving, the world is evolving, the world is changing, climate change is coming, everything is happening, and you have to realize that it's not going to seem as it was last year, yesterday. And that reminds me of you may love your country and be dedicated to it, but that reminds me of the song As Time Goes By. That was made famous in the movie called Casablanca, and during a terrible war in Europe, where the lyrics, what it says that love will always be welcome, but politics will always triumph. And that is the reality that we have to face in Cayman.
It reminds me, the turnout reminds me when I was president of Cayman Islands Civil Service Association. You have your general meetings, annual general meetings, and the only time that you got people to respond and to come out was when it involved an issue as far as salaries were concerned. If there was any indication that it was going to be an increase in salary, the hall would be filled with people because it affected, their bottom line, their pocketbooks, and
yes,
and if it
but
doesn't
you see, it's always
impact that, then they don't have that interest.
Yes, and another thing too is that we're living in an age now of media, where in the electronic age and technological age now, where people can sit in their living rooms and can listen and see the meeting and hear the meetings, and so we have to gear our presentation more to the effect that the media has on change.
So we know now that after this review, constitutional, the next one that is due would be 8 years down the line, and I know that you've said this is going to be your last one, but should we be looking forward to see now what strategy we will use to get more voter participation as far in the next 8 years using modern technology as opposed to other things? We can talk about that when we return from our 8 o'clock news. Folks, top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time by Foster's is 8 o'clock.
So it's your turn to cook tonight. What are we having?
Well, we have chicken thighs, pork chops, sirloin steak, ground chicken, or beef stir fry.
Wow, so many options.
Yeah, I got them from the Foster's Pick 5 selection. You can choose any 5 specially marked packs for $19.99. The meat is always fresh and never previously frozen. It's the perfect way to stock up for the week.
So all of this only costs $19.99?
It sure did.
Pick 5 is available at all locations and selection may vary between stores. Foster's, better value because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. A team from the Cayman Islands has joined more than 7,000 delegates attending the annual meeting of the International Trademark Association, the first time since the COVID pandemic. CIIPO Director Candace Westby says the purpose of the trip is to raise the profile of the office, the thriving local intellectual property sector, and of the Cayman Islands' commitment to advancing intellectual property rights.
We often hear, that our jurisdictions are very small, and it would be worthwhile for persons to know that we are leading jurisdictions in various areas. For example, in the Cayman Islands, we are a leading financial services jurisdiction. We have quite a few multinationals and companies that are listed on the New York and Asia stock exchanges that call Cayman home. So we certainly see IP as adding value to our financial services, to financing, IP financing. So from that perspective, I think my encouragement would be to look beyond just the IP, but what else our jurisdictions offer.
The team includes the Financial Services Minister and the Deputy Chief Officer. They have a busy agenda over the 5-day conference, which is underway in Singapore. The Department of Environment is urging members of the public to dispose of their fishing lines properly after a dead juvenile green turtle is found caught in fishing line. More from Radio Cayman's Shanda Gallego.
Gut-wrenching photos of the juvenile green sea turtle found entangled in fishing line on a beach in Cayman Brac. Those photos released from the Department of Environment on their social media page. The DOE says the turtle's flippers and neck were entangled in fishing line. Turtle volunteers Dwayne and Bonnie, along with DOE Conservation Warden Martin, reported and responded to the incident. This could have been avoided, the DOE says, if the fishing line had just been properly disposed of. The DOE is reminding the public that fishing line disposal bins are available around each island at known fishing activity locations. They encourage residents to never discard fishing line at sea or on the beach, and if you find discarded fishing line on the beach, to help protect marine life by removing it and disposing of it appropriately. Shanda Gallego, Radio Cayman News.
And the Alex Panton Foundation has hired 2 Caymanians, Aaron Kaufman and Emily Kelly, as part of the nonprofit's efforts to increase its advocacy, awareness, and support for children. Radio Cayman's Felicia Rankin-Solins has more.
Aaron Kaufman joins the organization as administrative manager, while Emily Kelly will assume the role of program manager. Both will work alongside APF's other full-time staff member, Caymanian Michelle Powell, who has been with the foundation since August 2022 in the position of administrative coordinator. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
Now with the check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller.
BBC News with Danielle Yawowiecka. Leaders of the G7 group of developed economies have agreed new sanctions against Russia on the first day of their annual summit being held in the Japanese city of Hiroshima. They said the measures would starve Moscow of technology, industrial equipment and services that support its war against Ukraine. President Zelensky of Ukraine has arrived in Saudi Arabia on an unannounced visit. He tweeted that he wanted to enhance Ukraine's ties with the Arab world. An Arab League summit has begun in Saudi Arabia, at which the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad is making his first appearance in more than 12 years. Mr. Assad, who arrived on Thursday, is due to make a speech. Iran has executed 3 men over the killing of 3 members of the security forces during anti-government demonstrations in Isfahan last November. Amnesty International said the men were tortured into confessing. The World Health Organization says progress on curbing diseases such as malaria and TB has stalled due to the COVID pandemic. Cases of non-communicable diseases continue to rise. Nigerian police say they've rescued 2 people abducted during an attack on a US embassy convoy. 7 people were killed in the ambush in the southeastern state of Anambra on Tuesday. On Thursday, the police said they had made 2 arrests. The Lebanese Interior Minister says an Interpol arrest warrant has been issued for the country's central bank governor, Riyad Salama. The Reuters news agency quoted the Interior Minister as saying he would implement the notice if the Lebanese judiciary decides to abide by it. Mr. Salama denies all accusations. Greece's Conservative Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis and his leftist challenger hold their final rallies today ahead of Sunday's general election, the most uncertain in a decade. Latest polls give Mr. Mitsotakis a lead. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com. Are you tired of waiting in long lines at the pharmacy just to fill a prescription?
If what, child, let me tell you.
Well, now you can save time and money with ValueMed's online prescription service. Visit ValueMed's new website, valrx.com, and click the Refill Subscriptions button. Fill in your information and choose your preferred pickup location. Or email your prescription refills for ValueMed Walkers Road at rx-wr@valrx.com, and for ValueMed in Boddentown, email rx-bt@valrx.com. Say goodbye to the hassle of waiting in lines and hello to the convenience of online prescriptions with ValueMed Pharmacy. Visit valrx.com to place your orders today.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. At Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
TD, you hear about that March for Jesus that they having worldwide?
Yeah, happening in Cayman too, 27th day of May 2023. Well, that's coming up here soon now. Let me tell you, I got my sneakers. I heard about it too.
And I hear that people can walk, you could ride your bicycle, you could use scooter, and drive your car, any form of transportation you could use.
Well, they also providing transportation from the outlying districts, east end, north side. Yeah, they gonna make sure that everybody that won't participate can be there.
So what time we gotta be down there?
So we gotta be at the 7 Mile Public Beach at 2 p.m. because the march can start at 3 p.m. So you get there for 2 p.m.
Okay. And then what we have up in town? I heard something they have in town too.
Oh, big praise and worship session afterward too. Oh yeah, I heard right of then the legislative assembly steps. Oh, I can't wait to praise and lift hands to God. Boy, I tell you, I go and march for Jesus.
Me too.
Circle of Love Women's Ministry is celebrating 10 years of impacting the children of the Cayman Islands, and we're so excited about our Child Month celebration. Our goal has always been to empower and uplift the children in our community, and we're proud to say that we've achieved that over the years. But none of this would have been possible without the incredible support of our community partners. The Ministry of Innovation and Social Development, Ministry of Education, Motif Media, Burger King, Persona Events, Crichton Properties, MJ Party Rentals, Caliente Productions, Mitchell's Trucking, and the exceptional staff at SEMA and CNB. Thank you, sponsors, for investing in the children of the Cayman Islands. If you'd like to become a community partner, contact Shanda Hunter at 922-3229.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 83 degrees. Relative humidity is 77%. The barometric pressure is 29.95 inches and rising. The wind is out of the east at 9 knots. Overnight low temperature was 79 degrees. Synopsis indicate light winds and smooth seas are expected for the next few days in association with a weak pressure gradient over the northwest Caribbean. Radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman Islands drifting westward. Now the forecast for today calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of afternoon showers, and temperatures today will be in the upper 80s with a heat index of 105 degrees Fahrenheit. It's going to be a hot day. Winds will be easterly at 5 to 10 knots and seas will be smooth with wave heights of less than 2 feet. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers and temperatures dipping to the mid-70s tonight. Winds will be northeasterly at 5 knots or less and seas will be smooth with wave heights of less than 2 feet. Today's high tide will occur this morning at 8:46, low tide this afternoon at 3:20, and a high tide again tonight at 10:16. The sun will set this evening at 6:53 and will rise tomorrow morning at 5:49. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Sunday evening. And that's the very latest on your weather report.
Mommy, why can't dogs talk? Why do I have to go to school and you don't? Why do you sing in the morning when you're bad at it? Why don't you brush your teeth when you take me to school? Why doesn't it ever snow here? Why does Daddy take the bus to work? Why are trees so tall? Why don't you tell me where babies come from? Mommy, Mommy, Mommy!
We're like a kid that doesn't ask a million questions before noon. CG Britcay. Good like that.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Achieving our goals is rewarding, but at times can feel frustrating, especially if and when we miss our target. As you approach your goals in life, set yourself up for success.
When setting your goals, be realistic. It's important to set realistic goals and say no to distractions. If you overcommit, then you may have difficulty sticking with your goal. Keep your goals doable. Choose goals that mesh with your other responsibilities. You may also need to tweak either the goals or other priorities if you find things aren't going well.
Change your thinking and change your life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. Encourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look this time at traffic. On the Linford Pearson Highway, bumper-to-bumper traffic, and traffic is bumper-to-bumper coming off of Bobby Thompson Way. Slow-moving traffic off the Esterly Tibbetts Highway heading towards the Butterfield Roundabout. And continuing on to North Sound Road, traffic is steady. Godfrey Nixon Way moving on moderately, and Eastern Avenue as well. Coming off of Agnes Way, traffic is steady. And into Georgetown on Shedden Road looking pretty good. Out of Georgetown on Shedden Road moving on moderately. Edward Street, no issues there as traffic is light to moderate, as well as on Owen Roberts Drive. And coming from the West Bay four-way stop, moderate flow of traffic. As we turn our eyes to the West Bay Road in front of the Ritz, traffic is moving moderately in both directions. And further up on Shamrock Road, moving on moderately and coming off of Rex Crichton Boulevard as well. That's what's happening on your roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12 o'clock. We'll give you another traffic report. Remember, one text or call could wreck it all. Be safe.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. a traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
The 22nd Annual Talent Exposition of the Arts, Humility, is here. Presented by the New Self-Help Foundation, Sunday, June 25th at the Hartwell Theatre. Awesome performances by Rico Rolando.
Yeah, she twerking off a band and I'm about to make a dance, yeah.
Dream Chasers, Radiance Dance Studio, UCCI Dancers, Centerpoint Dance Studio, Spark School of Performing Arts, Dan Ebanks, and more. Hosted by Anika Connolly and Lloyd Barker. Part of the proceeds from the Talent Exposition go to support the training program of the arts. Tickets available from Number One Shoe Shop and Winner Circle Sports. Prepaid $15 or $20 at the gate. The 2023 Talent Exposition of the Arts, Humility, Sunday, June 25th at the Hartwell Theatre. Gates open at 5 p.m. Show starts at 6 p.m. Get your tickets today.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the Record with Orrett Connor continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve McField. We're going to continue our discussion. We do have, I do have a question here, Doc, from one of our listeners. This was on another topic, but we did say, we're entertaining any topic today. Person wanted to know how much paid vacation does a permit holder, how much are they entitled to, and is it time and a half or double time for holidays? I don't know if you're familiar
Time
with
and a
that. For holidays?
I think so.
And do we know how much vacation time?
I don't know how much vacation time.
Okay.
I have to look at the labor law to see that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then of course this could also be subject to what agreement that you may, contractual agreement that you may have with your employer, as long as it doesn't breach or doesn't fall below the thresholds that have been set by the labor law.
That's
Would
right.
that be the case?
That's right, because whatever is set out in your whatever is set out in your agreement contract
Mhm.
and your employment contract is what the terms of the employment would be.
Yeah.
Those are the things that both parties have to abide by.
Mhm.
But like you said, they cannot be so severe that they fall below the minimum standards that the labor law sets.
Mhm,
On any.
So if the labor law says that you're entitled to $6.50 an hour, and if you don't fall into that category where you're in the service industry where tips are considered, you and your employer then can't really have an agreement that says that you get paid $4 an hour as opposed to $6.50 or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I trust that person is listening on that, and we will try to see what we can find in relation to the vacation time, right?
Yes.
Okay, Doc, we want to continue because I think it is extremely important for us to let our audience know about the Electoral Boundaries Commission, the genesis of it, when it was established. As well. So let's look at what our Constitution said, and the part of the preamble to the Constitution, or there were some points in the Constitution that had to be deal with the old Constitution and what was in place, because everything couldn't be changed at one time.
Mhm.
So you had to look at existing laws. You had to look at existing post holders. For instance, for instance, the financial secretary, was no longer a part of our Legislative Assembly position of financial secretary. That had to be dealt with. You had to deal with existing legislators and everything. But there was a caveat or a carve out there also, or instructions in relation to elections as well. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, the Constitution actually saved some systems, some constitutional systems, and it altered some. And one of the things that it's directed to speak about was what the Constitution calls for in another section. But let's just look at what it says in Section 8. It says, as soon as practicable after the appointed day, that means the appointed day of the Constitution, and before the Legislative Assembly is dissolved, in accordance with Section 7.3, the Governor shall appoint an Electoral Boundary Commission in accordance with Section 88 of the Constitution. The Commission so appointed shall, as soon as practicable, and in accordance with the Section 8 and 9, that's the section that covers the remit for the Constitution, review the electoral district boundaries and submit a report to the Governor and the Legislative Assembly containing its recommendations for changes in the boundaries of the electoral districts with a view that the Legislative Assembly consists of 8 elected members. So it already said that the whole island should be
18.
Should be 18.
Yeah.
Should be now divided into 18 electoral of 18 elected members. And remember that was amended.
Yes.
One
was added. Yeah.
One was
for 19.
added,
Yes.
So to 19. So that was what the Constitution said. So that's how the electoral boundary commission came into being.
And that had to be in place for the
before the next election.
So in 2010, then the Electoral Boundaries Commission, they issued their report, and in the introduction of their report, it talks about the establishment of the Electoral Boundaries Commission. And again, they speak here and say the Electoral Boundaries Commission was established pursuant to Section 8 of the Order in Council. So there had to be an order in council establishing that.
That's right, yes.
And Section 88 of the Cayman Islands Constitution Order 2009. It consists of a chairman who is appointed by the governor acting in his discretion, one member appointed by the governor acting in accordance with the advice of the premier, and one member appointed by the governor acting in accordance with the advice of the leader of the opposition.
Yes.
It goes on to say that the governor has the power pursuant to Section 88, subsection 2, to appoint the chairman of the Electoral Boundaries Commission. His discretion, and one member acting in accordance. That's just repeating that. So the following persons were appointed in 2009. Says His Excellency at that time, Stuart D.M. Jack, CVO, under the provisions of the Cayman Islands Constitution, Order 2009, on the 26th of November 2009, to constitute the Electoral Boundaries Commission for the Cayman Islands. Those members at that time, and we heard this name mentioned on Wednesday, Mr. Carl Dundas, who was the chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Carl Dundas, quite an eminent lawyer and well-versed in elections, has written and has served on many international bodies when it came to elections. So that recommendation was made, and he was chosen. Also, Mr. Norman Borden as a member, and Miss Adriana Webb as a member as well. So Miss Adriana Webb has been there from the inception. Yes. And Mr. Norman Borden as well. Their mandate at that time was The 2009 Constitution establishes the Electoral Boundaries Commission, whose general role is to review the electoral district boundaries and submit a report to the governor and the Legislative Assembly, consisting of 18 elected members. More specifically, the Electoral Boundaries Commission is required to review the boundaries of the electoral districts into which the Cayman Islands are divided, take into account the changes or proposed changes, if any, in the number of electoral districts or of the elected members of the Legislative Assembly. Also, invite views from members of the public and submit a report to the governor and the Legislative Assembly containing its recommendations for any changes in the number and boundaries of the electoral districts. And it goes on to say to them that at that time, in preparing their report, they shall take no account of the racial distribution of electors within the Cayman Islands, take into account the natural boundaries within the Cayman Islands, and I want to come back to that one, have regard to the existing electoral districts, and subject to the foregoing provisions, ensure that as so far as reasonable practicable across all electoral districts, there will be an equal ratio between the number of elected members, and I think that phrase is important, equal ratio between the number of elected members of the Legislative Assembly representing each electoral district and the number of persons qualified to be registered as electors in that district as specified in Section 90. And then we had the carve out where Cayman Brac and Little Cayman shall, between these two islands, at all times return at least 2 members of the Legislative Assembly. Now let's go back. A friend of mine and I had a conversation on Wednesday. I think Wednesday or Thursday. I wasn't able to get back to him on Wednesday. I think I got back to him on Thursday about this portion of the mandate. Take into account the natural boundaries within the Cayman Islands.
Yes, the natural traditional boundaries.
Well, but we have 2 things there. Mm-hmm. We have the natural boundaries within the Cayman Islands, and then you have regard to existing electoral districts, which would be those. But my argument to him was the natural boundaries of the Cayman Islands. We don't have too many natural boundaries. They are all man-made, and if we look at the word natural, it comes from nature. It means nature. So the only natural boundaries that I saw in the Cayman Islands was the ocean between Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac, and between Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. So I didn't believe that natural boundaries referred to the existing electoral districts, and I believe that is why we have a section in there that says that should have regard to existing electoral districts as well. Because those boundaries are delineated. They're all in the elections law, where you have all of the geographical coordinates, and as to what those boundaries are. Would you agree with me there on that?
Yes, I agree, but remember now, they are still in the they're still in the traditional boundaries. The traditional boundaries have never been breached.
Right. Yeah.
Because any adjustment has to be within those boundaries, and that's the difficulty we have with such a small place, and especially with such a large growing population, because it seems to me that once you adjust the boundary here this year. The next 3 years, you come back, it's overpopulated, sometimes 40-50%, and that's the problem that we are having. But I would like to ask a question to your audience, is if there's from people who are listening, and they can call and they can let me know what they feel. Would they feel comfortable if we have to, if they have to give the mandate, the voting mandate to permanent residents,
the franchise
to vote, the people who are not Caymanians yet, but they live here on a permanent basis. Do we give them the franchise so that they can say who's elected to the parliament?
That's interesting. That's an interesting question, Doc, because we see where UK parliamentarians have expressed the view and concern about residents, British residents in the Cayman Islands and their right to vote as well.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind that we're not a fully self-governing territory, that the UK can still legislate for the Cayman Islands, that they could possibly do that. We've seen constitutions being suspended, for various reasons, but if they wanted to, they could change their constitution, without our permission as well. We have to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned, but we're going to talk about this. Should the franchise in the Cayman Islands be extended? Will that solve some of the issues that the Electoral Boundaries Commission has to contend with as a result of the limited numbers on our voters registry? Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
Washing your clothes in cold water can save you 90% of your washing machine energy usage.
Using LED light bulbs uses 75% less energy than regular bulbs, and they last 25 times longer. Keeping your appliances and equipment cleaned and maintained regularly will reduce your monthly electricity bill.
The do-it-yourself energy audits on energy.gov.ky make it easy to find ways to save energy and money in your home or business.
Complete an energy audit of your home or business before 31st of May 2023 to be entered into a prize giveaway. Prizes include a $5,000 gift certificate to Home Gas and gift certificates to Cooling Pros, Foam Pros, Costyless, and Foster's.
To learn more, visit energy.gov.ky today and follow the National Energy Policy on Facebook and Instagram.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
The Harkwell Theatre will come alive as Cayman National Dance Company presents the 35th season of dance. Its Emerald Celebration, an extravaganza of repertoire pieces, new creations, and remastered dances. Dance should be shared with all who live and breathe, so you do not want to miss the 35th season of dance at the Harkwell Theatre. Friday, May 19th, 6:30 p.m. For the gala, cost is $75. Saturday, May 20th, 11 a.m. matinee, $10. Saturday, May 20th, 7 p.m. and Sunday, May 21st, 5 p.m. $35 for adults and $15 CI for children under 15. Tickets are available at Radiant Dance Studio, Audiophile Cayman, and Winner Circle Sports, or by calling 926-1826. Sponsored by Cayman National, CNCF, ARC Directors, Water Authority, CUC, BritK, and Radio Cayman.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve McField, not in his capacity as a member of the Electoral Boundaries Commission, but, as my co-host this morning as well. We do have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC.
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing awesome here in the back, my friend. Awesome. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, sir.
You got a perfect companion up in there today with you.
Welcome to the to the call. We will be in the Brack on Tuesday evening for a meeting at Rushton Rally Center.
Yeah, I'm gonna hopefully be there. I was trying to get him to change that date because of church nights for people, and a lot of people say they want to be to it, but they got to go to their church, so they start service. So that kind of hinders a few people from getting there, which would have been better on a Monday night, but
yes,
things just can't be changed. Seem like, but yeah. Well, anyway, the two of you is the group for the show. I tell you what, the show don't seem like the show with one without the other. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, man, the two of you just like the whole Cayman Islands up in the morning. I wanted just to respond to that same question that Dr. Steele asked just now about the PRs being able to vote. The ones, paper Caymanians, they say they don't want to hear that no more, but I'm going to say it whether they like it or not. Being able to vote. But, I've been struggling with that in my mind ever since they started with this PR and this paper Caymanian or whatever they want to be called or they want to call them. If the government goes that distance to allow them to be here as Caymanians or paper Caymanians or whatever, I don't see why they should not be able to vote, because government has already gave them the right to live in the country. So they should be able to vote. I mean, it's now I hope I don't go now and chop my foot off for what I'm saying and it come back and bite me, but I'm not seeing why they shouldn't be able to vote. You still there, Jose?
Yes, we're here. We're listening to you.
It could for some people listening, it could be a tricky question. And for some, it could be an easy question, and that is an easy yes or an easy no. But to me, I was struggling with it, but now that you mentioned it this morning, I did sat down and thought about it for a while, and I don't see why. There's nothing that we can take away because everything has already been granted. So for them to be able to vote, I'm telling you what, I know some that been here and they're voting, so I don't see why it shouldn't be right across the board. I'm just hoping that I don't chop myself up for saying that, Jose. But
now, caller, would you limit it to voting, or would you extend it to their ability to hold office as well, or you would just limit it to voting?
Yeah, just to voting. They are straight as foreigners in this country should not, in no way, form, or fashion, should be able to hold a position of in a high esteem for no matter. I'm totally against that. But for them to vote, they should have the right to vote, because if I go to Florida and I become a Florida citizen, I'm automatically will be able to vote for the upcoming president or the commissioner of Florida or whoever it is. I mean, not the commissioner, what do you call them again?
Senators or congressmen?
Yeah. So it's not that they have the right to take in office positions.
Mm-hmm.
No, they should not. But they should be able to vote.
Okay.
But don't you think that once you give people the right to elect, that they also would want also the right to be elected?
When you give them 1 inch, they want a mile. Clearly, and that is what I'm saying. I am looking at it in one aspect of I forgot the word I was going to use there, but someone else could be looking at it
fairness in terms of fairness,
yes, and fairness, but someone else could be looking at it the other way. So I mean, I watches a lot of politics on the national television with France and Florida and to see what's going on with Biden and all of them other ones, and it's a similar situation to what is happening here for us to make the choices, because when we make the choices and they have been already implemented into the system, there is not an easy thing to go back and change them. So if it's beneficial to the country for those that come in here because of the population that they're trying to reach, and I am totally against, or not, I wouldn't say totally against the population problem, but I see it in the distance being a problem. But for us to get to that point, we have to open up and say we have to give the right for those that are eligible to live in the country. We have to give them that same privilege.
Right, because they're affected by the laws that we put in place. And remember, now you're talking about permanent residents as opposed to a person who's here on a work permit.
Yes.
Exactly. So I am not going against that idea. That seems to me like a fair idea for those that want to live in this country. Yes, it's a struggle for us to fathom things like that, but if the government going to go to that depth, like I say, to give them a PR, they should be able to vote.
Mm-hmm.
I am not against that, OC.
Okay, thank you for voicing your opinion there, and very brave of you to do so as well. We do have another caller on hold. We have to take a quick commercial break. Caller, don't hang up. As soon as we return, we will take your call, so please stay tuned.
Are you feeling sick but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy to understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and respiratory illnesses are among the top causes of death in Cayman every year. From June 3rd until July 31st, the Ministry of Health and Wellness will conduct the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey to better understand the prevalence of non-communicable diseases within our nation. Log on to www.gov.ky/steps to learn more.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay.
No one can stop me when I taste the feel.
Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We're going straight to the phone lines as we promised. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Thanks for being so patient.
Good morning, OC, to you and your co-host there.
Good morning. Good morning. Good to hear your voice. I haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah. OC, I'm calling because I strongly disagree with the last caller. Whilst he does call the program with a lot of very good ideas, but this one I think is a bit of a bummer. If I go to the United States and I get a green card, I can't vote. That's a sort of a permanent residence idea. I can't vote.
It may be possible in, I'm not sure, I'm going to check it to see whether or not in local elections, whether or not you can vote, but maybe not in federal elections, but I'll check that. But go ahead.
Okay. And I'm only basing on what persons of similar state, situation have told me. But and then I think you asked the same question, or with Dr. McField and asked the same question. If you allow them to vote, then you're not going to allow them to be elected, is it? So if we're going to allow those people to come here and vote, then we can end up having a house filled with non essentially non-Caymanians, then, so to speak, right? Because my idea, I don't care what anybody want to say about my thought process about it, but that legislative assembly should only be filled with indigenous Caymanians. Those of us that are born here, raised here, grow here. It should be the only people in that legislative assembly. So that is the way I feel about it, and as I say, my position is that is just the way I feel about it, and so if we're gonna allow these people to come here, and we're gonna give them the right to PR, and we're gonna give them the right to vote, then why aren't we giving them a right to contest a seat in our general elections?
Yes.
I mean,
yes, caller, how do you square away what your thinking is with the fact that not too long ago, I think it was last week, they had debates in the House of Commons in the UK on the rights of British citizens. They were talking about British citizens' rights in the overseas territories, and now they're coming up with a new phrase now, saying that we all now are part of the British global family. Before they say that we're all partners now. We have moved us a little closer, and they're saying now that we're all part of the British global family. Well, if you're part of the British global family, don't you expect then all of the overseas territory people to have the same rights as the British family in England?
Oh, no, Dr. McField. I think you know better than anybody in this world the conquer and divide attitude of those people. So that might be for ulterior motives.
Yeah.
That's just my views on it. That might be for ulterior motives. All of a sudden, they want to give you. Anytime you see somebody want to give you something, don't worry, brother.
Some string attached, yeah.
Something coming back. So yeah, but no, I wasn't privy to that debate. But I'm always willing to hear from a learned person like Dr. McField. But anyway,
but the debate also included whether the overseas territories should have more rights to their own autonomy.
Right, and also representation in the UK Parliament as well. Yeah.
Yes, representation in the UK Parliament. Now, if you get representation in the UK Parliament, does that have reciprocal rights in our Parliament?
Or
there you go. There you go.
Or does it then mean, even though we're British citizens as we are, can we be conscripted into their armed forces, or are we required to pay taxes, things of that nature? And caller, don't forget now also that in our 2009 Constitution, when it came to qualification of electors, we removed the provision that required you to be a British overseas territory citizen, in addition to possessing Caymanian status and being resident in the island. So all you had to do is fulfill the residency requirements, and if you possessed Caymanian status, you could be registered as an elector. You no longer were required to be a British overseas territory citizen. So we did make some concessions there in, recognizing that part of it. Now, going, as far as a permanent resident is concerned, I don't know. But I found your question in relation to U.S. green card holders, and I will share that with you. So I'm going to encourage you to please continue to listen to us. We know that you do when you get an opportunity, and I will share the information in relation to the voting rights for green card holders as well, caller.
Thank you very much, Rosie.
Thank you for calling as well.
you.
Ms. Susan, do we have any other caller on hold? Oh, no caller at this point in time. We should expect a call to come in. I won't, but we do expect one caller to call in. So, Doc, here is what we have on. It says, can green card holders vote? It says, generally, the answer to this question is no. Only U.S. citizens can vote. There are a few exceptions, however, which we can look into in more detail. And it talks about voting in state and local elections. Certain states allow lawful permanent residents, and notice we say they're lawful permanent residents, to vote in state and local elections. For example, green card holders and immigrants with work visas will be granted the right to vote in mayoral and other elections in New York City under the bill introduced in the City Council in January of 2020. This bill gives almost 1 million New York City residents who are taxpayers in the city but aren't citizens the right to vote. If your state therefore allows green card holders to vote, you will just, like every other U.S. citizen over the age of 18, have the right to vote. But remember, this is only in local and state elections that don't require you to be a U.S. citizen. Make sure you know what your local rules are before registering. It may seem like a hassle, but it is well worth your while. You don't want to get into unnecessary trouble and hinder your chances of becoming a U.S. citizen. Then it speaks about voting in federal elections. It says only U.S. citizens are allowed to vote in federal elections. There are no exceptions to this rule. Unfortunately, the green card holder doesn't have a say in who will be their next president. And then it goes on to talk about what happens if you go ahead and vote, and if you're not eligible, and of course that can result in deportation, as well. So that is quite possible. Another point, Doc, and both you and I are students of history. I would say you more than I, because you have more years under your belt than I do. But in 2003, there was an electoral report. There was an electoral Boundary Commission that was established in 2003, and I'm going to do more research on that while during our commercial breaks and when we talk. But if any of you out there who are listening, have access to that and more knowledge about the 2003 report, be interesting to know. I see an article here from the then Caymanian Compass demanding that the 2003 electoral report, that it should be published because it appears as if it was not published, and this article was in 2007, so after 4 years it doesn't seem as if it had been published as well. Ms. Susan, you're saying that we have a caller? Okay, we have, you want to do the headlines? Can we do the headlines news now? Not ready yet. Okay, let's grab the caller. I just want to say to that caller that we may have to interrupt you to go to headline news, but we will keep you on the line because headline news is extremely short as well. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, OC. Morning, Dr. Steve.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Not bad. I won't be long, actually, but I wanted to call in because in looking at the UK parliamentary website, and that's the one that we should really be looking at, not the United States, the qualifications to be able to vote in the UK is that you must be a British qualifying Commonwealth citizen. Now, I know we're going to get this whole issue convoluted with the question of should they be allowed to, if they're allowed to vote, should they be allowed to stand for election? And also the question is going to come up, what about us, the overseas territories, having a seat in their parliament? That one in particular we need to be careful of, because that is more a response to a human rights requirement, where if they can legislate for us, we need to have representation in their house, in their parliament. So we should push that one to the side, because that is not really linked to this question, but I know it'll get sort of mixed in in the arguments. But my position is, and I think you might have recognized the voice by now. This is Al Sifu.
Hi. Morning, Al. How are you?
Morning. Not bad. Based on, my experience in Parliament and what I've seen thus far, you do have individuals who are here, who have permanent residence, who are, very little is going to stop them from becoming Caymanian. So it's a matter of, do you do it now, or do you push it down the road a little bit and then give them the right? But eventually they will be voting.
Right.
And eventually maybe their offspring will be able to stand for election. But you have to be careful how you approach this, because it could dramatically change the political landscape. And I think we need to, before we start answering these questions, do a little research into, what the consequences will be in terms of, what we want as the Caymanian people, what we want the country to be like, what we want the political landscape to be, before you start making these changes, because it can have some very harsh consequences.
Yeah, caller, I'm going to ask you to hold on the line. We want to talk a little bit more with you as well. We're going to go to our headline news. Don't hang up. For the Record, we'll be back shortly.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
There's been a quick change to the Child Month calendar. The games night that was scheduled to take place at East End and North Side on Saturday have been postponed until the 27th. That'll be taking place at 6:30 p.m. Volodymyr Zelensky is planning to join the G7 summit in Japan in a bid to secure strengthened support ahead of a planned counter-offensive in the Ukraine war. The Ukrainian president is expected to arrive at Hiroshima on Sunday, although his office has not yet confirmed the visit. Today, Mr. Zelensky flew to Saudi Arabia to meet with leaders of Arab nations. The G7 summit kicked off today with a renewed condemnation of Russia and an announcement of further sanctions. And a photo agency that took pictures of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex during what the couple said was a dangerous car chase has refused to hand over the images to them. Backgrid told BBC News it had rejected a legal demand to share the material taken in New York on Tuesday night. In a tongue-in-cheek response, the agency's lawyer said Americans had long ago rejected, quote, royal prerogative. The BBC has asked the couple for comment. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
The headline news are brought to you by Health Services Authority.
Health Services Authority is now offering online payment options for patients. Patients of HSA can now pay their bills, including deposits, towards scheduled services online at payments.hsa.ky. The secure, new online payment system accepts debit or credit cards and is in addition to the available payment options of cash, check, and online bank transfer. For quick, easy, and secure payment directly from your phone or computer, visit HSA's new online payment system at payments.hsa.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me Dr. Steve McField, and also my pleasure to have on the phone line former Member of Parliament, Mr. Al Suku as well. Mr. Suku, go right ahead, sir. Sorry we had to interrupt you there.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, I think that the bigger question we should be asking now is, when are we going to address that anomaly where the UK can legislate for us, but we have to stay in the matter from a human rights perspective? And it is part of one of the articles on human rights, where you cannot have legislation without representation. And that shouldn't bring any reciprocal rights with it. It is a human right. It is something that we should be fighting for right now. And I think that a lot of people will not like to hear me say this, but if we're going to be part of global Britain and we're going to be part of, the new global Britain, then we need to have more say in our ultimate destination as a part of the Commonwealth, as a part of the United Kingdom. And the only way to do that is to have a seat in Parliament. In the House of Commons.
And you, I'm sure that you listened to that debate in the House of Commons, and the argument put forward there is they're basically saying, there are things and decisions that are made in that Parliament that affect the overseas territories, but yet they have no one, who can formally speak for them in that Parliament. And whether or not you have one representative for all of the overseas territories, or you have individual representatives for each overseas territory, but they see that as a plus. I think one of the arguments or one of the apprehensions that people have with that is what comes with that representation. Will there be taxation? Will there be other issues? And that is what the UK parliamentarians, that in order to assuage the fears of the overseas territories, they have to make clear what comes with it and what doesn't.
Yeah, and I mean, it's something that I would support. However, we have to look at the implications. What would it bring with it? But from a purely human rights perspective, we have been kept sort of on the sideline. While the UK has determined our future for us in certain instances, but by legislating for us, and you look at beneficial ownership and all of those, the issues that brought for the financial services, we had no one to speak for us in the UK Parliament when that was done.
Now there may have been, I think, a slight constitutional amendment that requires them now to consult with us. I believe that was made, but that doesn't take us much further either. Yeah, I mean, we can give them our position and they can ignore it. Exactly. Ultimately, we still have that very last line in the clause in the Constitution that says they can legislate on our behalf. Yeah. Yep. And that's the end of it. Until that is gone, we'll forever be in this position. But as far as the question of, and I'm not trying to avoid it, but whether or not permanent residents should have the right to vote. I am of a mind that they will be voting eventually. So, there is an argument that maybe we should look at that in terms of maybe UK nationals being able to vote. If we're part of the UK and we're part of this global Britain family, then maybe there's an argument there. But that would open the door to other nationalities wanting it as well. So
we have to have a national discussion on this. It's not something that can be a decision that can be made in Parliament or Cabinet. It has to be representative of what the people actually want.
So true.
And, I'm all for that type of democracy and making decisions that way. But, very interesting question. And, Dr. Steve, I'm pretty sure you knew that you would get a lot of feedback and some negative, some positive. But, I've been thinking about it for quite some time because I see it coming. I see it coming our way, and we're going to have to answer that question eventually.
Yep.
So we have to face it.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your contribution, Mrs. Suku. We do have another caller. Let's go back to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC, and good morning, Dr. McField.
Good morning. Good morning, Minister.
Mr. Minister, how are you, sir?
I am blessed. Thank you so much. And I was so happy to hear my former colleague and friend, Albert Sugu, call in. So to see that his political mind is still active, that's a positive thing. I have to disagree with him, though, strongly, too, that Cayman is so unique in its size and its growth development speed that I don't think we can take the similar approach that many people normally would in respect to the viewpoint that persons who are living in a state would want to vote. The reason why we had that protection there is because of the growth and the pressures on our indigenous people. And they're already having that pressure already based on the growth rate. And you heard the Honorable Dr. McField talk about the projections within the next 5 years and where our population would be, and what the population of that would be, what we call at least one of the family members born in Cayman. And I dare say probably about 60% of those who are able to vote currently, by the next election, more of them going to be what you call non-birth Caymanians than generational Caymanians. And that's a scary thought, because with birth in the country, you take certain norms and cultural viewpoints, standards, positions politically, and so forth. And that's what this is about. It's about the way of life. And once you give away that power to the way of life, your way of life can be changed. And what is the way of life for Cayman if it wasn't for those who made Cayman? So, I mean, I think this problem is going to continue to haunt us because we're a growing society, and any growing population will have that. With growth comes these negatives. Jim Borden spoke about that many, many decades ago when he was the leader of this country. But the rate upon which that change happens cannot be too drastic. It has to be generational, so that a person who grew up in a time like today, my mother grew up in a time where every person she knew were born of Cayman. If not, maybe about 10-15% were non-Caymanians. We're going to have a situation where before the Lord calls her home, she will see a situation where the norms, the viewpoints, the political representation is totally not familiar to her. And that's a very dangerous speed of growth. That growth and that change. So for example, the United States, of course, when the British took over the Americas, it wasn't the same culture and norms as it is today. And they had immigration, they had the Irish, the English, Africans, and everything else, and you have a brand new world today. But that didn't happen in a short period of time. That happened over hundreds of years. And people can develop and grow with the change. The problem here is that Cayman is too small for that drastic change, and it would disrupt our communities in a way of life, and people would be really, really angry around the community. Can you imagine if you have a situation where majority of the people who can vote are voting for persons who that will change the culture of Caymanians? All the Caymanians will feel like they're left out. They already feel like that today.
But Minister, how do you then justify, because you talk about growth and the rapid growth that we are having, and we're seeing that happening in the Cayman Islands, not by natural growth, but through immigration. How can we, when we reach 100,000, that everyone says that we don't want to reach there, that there is no intention or no plans to get there, but we're going to get there anyhow, whether it's by hook or by crook, how can you then justify 1/4 of the population, 25,000 persons registered to vote with a population of 100,000? How are you going to be able to continue to justify that?
It's quite simple. You've come to this country. You believe that you want to be a part of it. You knew the system before you got here. Nobody forced anybody to come to the Cayman Islands. This is what we continue to do. We continue to change our way for everyone else. And that's what Caymanians are frustrated with. I mean, we don't even have enough time to survive to buy a home. But to be honest with you, I personally think it's time for us to lock the gate for a little bit.
Yeah,
I think there should be a moratorium.
Now you're talking my yep.
I think we need to give our people a little time to catch up on this, on where we're at as a country. I think we shouldn't give out any more statuses for at least another 8 years, because we just, it's out of control. Now the laws are,
or at least not on grounds just of residency, but some connection.
Yes. Yeah. If you by marriage is a totally different story.
Or descent.
Marriage and descent.
Marriage and descent. Those two I would support. But I just think that right now we need to slow things down, give Caymanians a chance to breathe and catch up, so to speak, because at this rate, we are going to be lost before the Lord takes me home. And I don't know when that's going to be. But if the natural thing of 3 strokes in 10, before I get to 70, I won't recognize my own country. And I'm a newer generation, not even my mother's generation. So I'm sorry, I cannot agree, and I will not support, just for everybody who's listening, as a representative of Georgetown Central, I would not support for residents to vote in this country. I think there's so many social reflections and domino effects of it. I could not support it. I'd rather be out of politics. So that's just my.
So what kind of ideas you have, Honorable Minister, about how a minority can protect their heritage, their culture, and so forth, their history, without while living with and alongside a minority that doesn't share the same views that they share? What do you think they can do? Such a minority can do?
I don't think there's any one thing. I think it's a combination of things. I'll give you a prime example. This littering problem that we have, not a Caymanian culture at all, but what we have allowed is the enforcement arm of some of these cultural things that we don't like to get out of hand, and it's the broken window syndrome. Same thing with labor. You see businesses start to pop up on the side of the road, like, say, for instance, this is a Cayman norm. We have standards, and our standards are going out the door. And because we continue to close, pretend like it's not there, I see people operating business on the side of the road, and I go, do you have a business license? And God forbid I ask the question about it, I'm seeing him as a villain, when truth and fact is a Caymanian wouldn't do that, because they got principles to say, I'm going to do it the right way, I'm going to get a license, so forth. While other people, they will pressure the state. And those constant pressures are changing culturally, because the enforcement arms in these various different areas, whether it's getting rid of garbage or working without a business license or upkeep of your property or any of those things are all changing, and the people who are responsible for holding them accountable don't do anything about it. That's why I'm so upset with the Royal Cayman Police Service, because they're the key component to keeping our cultures in check, and they don't do anything about it. There's so many things. If I was a police officer, I think everybody would hate me because they're not following the rules. And I'm tired of talking to the governor's office arm, whether it's a past governor or this governor, about the Royal Cayman Police Service. But then we're going to get into another argument altogether about those who are in charge of enforcing it on the persons who it needs to be enforced on, and the common nationality concept there. And I won't bring it up.
That's why we have to get full control at the end of the day.
Yes,
full control,
I was just going to say this, Honorable Minister. So it seems to me that one of the things that you have to do, like they are doing in some other large metropoles where the minority has now been overcome by the majority from other different places, you have to have some sort of power to direct, to make your own decisions that support your way of life, your history, that protect your own people. You cannot have some sort of a quasi-autonomy, and then at the end of the day, when you have sit with your council, whatever it is, legislative assembly or your parliament, then another person comes and say, I'm sorry, but I'm not allowing that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I do have a very good thought process on that because, and I know we have to go to break. I don't know if OC would allow me to stay on a little bit longer. I want to talk about that debate because that debate that happened the other day in Parliament was not a bigger, larger debate. It was a motion brought by the backbench, so it doesn't have as much strength and teeth as one would think. But it opened up the door of discussion, and it tells you a little bit about what some percentage of the Parliament is thinking. But what I am getting from the UK government is they themselves are recognizing there's a potential chance for them to lose many of their territories to the rightful process of independence. Because many people who went independent are even moving away from the crown altogether. Yeah. So I think there's a move right now to try to bring them back together because they know they're at risk. But with that open opportunity of dialogue, many other overseas territories are going to start putting themselves out there to say, okay, you want to renegotiate this relationship? Well, let's talk about this. Because some of these self-governing decisions that we don't have need to start to come back home. One primary principle, one of them, the Honorable Sir Alan McLaughlin, was so close to having that provision in the Constitution that said that they cannot override and make law for us. And then boom, it slipped out of our hand. Yep. Maybe it's time for us to go back to say, no, we want that back in the Constitution again, because otherwise... And
the United Nations and the Decolonization Committee would support you on us that.
Yes. You know what's going to happen shortly? The conversation of independence is going to creep right back into the conversation when truth, in fact, is many Caymanians feel comfortable with the relationship. But if it gets too tense, we're going to go back to that route. Yep. But I do not see us going into this whole joining the UK and UK residents voting here and we having a representative over there, because you can have a representative over there. That's only one of 600 and odd. That don't mean anything. Just to have your say and have your way is two different things. So it's a longer, in-depth conversation. I'd love to come on the show with you guys.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, we can arrange that. We can arrange that. We would love to have you on with us one morning.
Yes.
With that being said, I know you got other callers. I'll be listening for the rest of the show.
Thank you.
God bless you and thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Minister. Well, folks, we have to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget. Our custom closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Okay.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve McField. Ms. Susan, do we have any callers on hold at this point in time? Okay, I want to share some WhatsApp messages that we have as well. This one says, good morning, gentlemen. On a matter of persons with permanent residence being able to vote in the Cayman Islands, I believe that all permanent residents would have already demonstrated that they have a vested interest in the Cayman Islands. I also believe that voting rights started with landowners. Permanent residents are land and business owners, and I'll put a little caveat there to that. We hope that they are, because we've heard some rumors about the fact that after they have acquired their permanent residence, what then the properties that they may have used for that purpose, they may have disposed of them.
Sold to make profit.
Yes, and whether or not there are provisions in place that prevent them from doing that, but that's just my take on that. So I'll read that part again. It says, permanent residents are land and business owners, so I believe they should be allowed to be a part of the electorate. So that was that person's view on that. And this one says, morning, OC, I wish I could shake Minister Kenneth Bryan's hand, as I agree with his comments on PR, etc., and PR and voting rights. Let's see this one, other one. Okay, this one has to do about buses, but I'll read it anyway. It says on the 27th of April, the House passed a motion for private schools to add buses. Could you ask your guests about the sociology, pros and cons of that, about buses for private schools? I don't know if you're familiar with it, Doc.
No, I'm not
I don't have any knowledge of it. Well, I would have to do some research on this and then get back to that. This one says, good morning. Question 1, wonder how many of our new politicians listen to you when you are making suggestions concerning our island. Number of governments should go back to the 3-year work permit to give all who would like to get a piece of this island, and give every one of them a chance to get a taste. And so let's talk about that one with the three-year work permit and the rollover period. There are some people who are actually advocating for a shorter period of time rather than the 8 years. Some say, well, we should roll them over quicker than that. But then that may mean bringing the ability to apply for permanent residence, into play as well. Or, like you said, if you extend it for a longer period of time, let's say 10 or 12 years, I think the trap that we may fall into there is the argument that they have used before. You have allowed people to live in your country for so long, and then you're saying to them, now you have to leave. That makes it even, that much longer. So,
because if you're living in someone else's country for such a long time, there has to rise in your mind expectations that you're going to obtain some sort of rights to live there, and so the balance has to be struck, because you see, if you have too short of a rollover period, that could damage the economy as well. So you have to strike the balance. I think that we should canvass this, and we should try to get as much information as possible about this, and then that we should try to make some sort of decision that balances both sides. It cannot be one way. It cannot be one way, because if you say 2 years, and then you bring someone in who hasn't got used to the culture, hasn't got used to things. It took me a long time to get used to the Canadian and the British culture when I visited there. And so then when they acclimatize and you understand how things work, and then they say you have to leave, that is not good for my business or for the other man's business too. And then you have to think about the welfare of the country in general.
Yeah. Now, one of those arguments that the business community has used, when about the rollover, and even if you were to shorten it, they claim, we have this person, they're accustomed to the business. But now in Cayman, we see more and more work permit holders changing jobs, whether it is for the fact that they're being taken advantage of by their current employer, because we know situations, especially in the construction industry and those companies that provide labor, they're still making their employees pay for their work permits. They're shortchanging them every week whenever they're to get paid. They're telling them, oh, I don't have the money in my account to pay you this week. They're not paying into their pensions and all of those things. So we see the abuses, taken on there, and people are constantly changing jobs. So I believe that maybe in some occupations, that argument, but even in the legal profession, I mean, sometimes the only thing that is holding lawyers to one particular company is the non-compete clause that they may have in their contract that says that if you leave me and if you're going to practice law in the Cayman Islands, unless I agree with it, you can't practice that for a period of time.
Yes.
But we see constantly people changing jobs. So this argument that they have used in the past, I have this employee, and there's such a key to my business that I can't afford to lose them, for 12 months. That argument doesn't hold water any longer, would be my view, Doc.
Yes. And another thing is that I think we're completely ignoring the power, the term, I wouldn't say the power, the control that the Constitution gives us over immigration. Remember now, Section 9 gives us, Section 16 gives us ultimate power over who comes, how long they can stay, what businesses or work employment they can take up, how they should move within the country, and so forth. We have to craft legislation that protects us as far as that concerned. It gives them that protection that the Constitution gives us as far as concerned, and that does not run afoul of the so-called rights that other people are imposing upon us, through the courts and so forth. Because a lot of Caymanians I speak to, they will say, yeah, we understand those European rights that we have to abide by. What about our rights as a people? What about our rights as a people? And the same arguments began in Canada decades ago with the Indian people, who were the indigenous people there.
Yeah.
They ignored their rights for a long time, and they had to take court action.
I think I could refer to them as First Nation in Canada.
First Nation people, to obtain some rights that they say that were their rights, versus the rights of the minority, rights of the majority who were not First Nation people. And so now, after many years and many conferences and many court cases, they have come to some sort of decision of how those rights should be adjusted on both sides of the divide. I think that our politicians have to start looking at that too, to see whether they can impose some restrictions when you come, that you know that you're not going to get this or you're not going to get that, but you're going to get this and you're going to get that, and that is understood, and that you cannot go to the courts to challenge that, because that will be futile to do.
Now, and I agree with Mr. Al-Suku, the position that he's taken, in relation to the ability for the UK to legislate for us.
Yes.
And, wanting to have that removed. But we should also bear in mind, you've spoken about Section 16. It is there, but our politicians or lawmakers are not using it to the advantage of the Caymanian people. Just like they have been ignoring the introducing a law and the establishment of advisory district councils. If we had advisory district councils, Doc, I believe that it would make your job, Dr. Hadley's job, Miss Adriana's job, much easier,
and the
because you would have
jobs.
people. Yeah, because you would have people to consult with.
That's right.
So while we cry wolf and say, the bad old UK's out there not allowing us to do certain things. The ones that they have allowed us to do that we can protect our own, we're not using those.
Yes,
folks,
right.
we're not using those. We have to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
What exactly are the steps in the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey? Step 1 is a questionnaire where you'll be asked about your health behaviors and lifestyle choices. Step 2 involves home measurements like height, weight, and blood pressure. Lastly, Step 3 is a finger prick blood sample for cholesterol and glucose. STEPS 2023 starts on June 3rd. Learn more by logging on to www.gov.ky/steps.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record in the studio with me, Dr. Steve McField. Before we go to the phone lines, we do have another caller. Another WhatsApp message. This person says the shorter the work permit period, especially for jobs, the better. Says the construction jobs and the hotel jobs should be seasonal and short work permits. And at one point in time, we had seasonal work permits. We had many Irish nationals who came and worked in the tourism industry for the season and left afterwards. But then our tourism industry changed, where we basically were no longer seasonal. Our tourism industry was quite vibrant throughout the entire year. So that changed that somewhat. Let's grab the callers. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Busy now.
Good morning, caller. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. How art thou?
I'm good. And good morning to the brilliant doctor you got there with you.
Yes.
Yeah. So happy now saying good morning.
No, he didn't have his headphones on. Now he has them on.
Mm-hmm. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, how are you today?
I'm great.
Okay. I don't really have a subject to call in on today. I do have, but I'm not going to do that after.
Well, we can ask you. We can always ask you a question. If you were just a permanent residence holder in the Cayman Islands, as a matter of fact, until we see your papers, we don't know whether or not you more. Because remember now, I don't have anything that shows that I'm Caymanian, right? But the status holder has their letter that says that you have been, granted Caymanian status. So we're not sure what you have. But if you were a permanent resident, would you want to be able to vote in the Cayman Islands?
No.
No.
You don't have the right. You don't have the right.
Okay.
You don't have the right. I don't have the right to come up at your house. I would like to come up your house and pick some mangoes too, but I don't have the right. I just don't have the right. So I can't be that wishful thinking. Okay?
Good answer.
And I call to support Minister Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
That dialogue is, in my opinion, the best display, being concerned about Cayman and Caymanians, that he have ever displayed, in my opinion. Right? And for him to go out on the limb and say that, and I've never heard any other politician say that.
So true.
That's taking a really big risk or big chance. Mm-hmm. But I do support what he said. And, I think that we should find another way of calling people that come here and obtain citizenship or whatever it is, the status, another name. They can't just be Caymanians, just like that. And talking about paper showing who you are, 1796 John Jarrett Conley in East End. You want to go further back than that? Isn't that enough paper?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So true.
Oh,
yep.
And I've personally seen 7 generation live heartbeat. I've seen 7 generation of my people live. My great grandmother being born in 1882 and not passing away until 1983. So I know a lot.
Wow.
Okay, and her father before her and his mother and her father. That takes us back to 10 generation.
Wow.
So how about that for being Caymanian?
Yeah, that should make you Caymanian.
Okay?
Yes.
And when I say I've seen 7 generation, I might not know this, but I'm a great-grandfather. I didn't want to put that away.
yes.
So I got my great-grandmother, who was born in 1882, my grandmother, my mother, myself, my daughter, and her daughter. So that's 7 generation that I've seen personally live on this island. So you can't talk to me about having no paper. I don't need paper.
Mm-hmm.
And people that don't want to be called paper Caymanian, they're too bad, but we're going to have to find something. I don't know if I want to call them Ozzy got some name for that. I don't remember what that is. But, we can call them something.
Mm.
But I think we roll out the carpet too often and too long, and this Cayman kind. People appreciate it. Not appreciate it, they take advantage of it. So what is enough? We make you stay here now. You want to vote too? Not long, like Dr. McField said. You want to run for election too? So when will it stop?
And another point I want to ask you, Lord Graham, is that the Constitution gives protection for certain offices held in the public service. For instance, one of the first ones that comes to mind is the deputy governor.
Deputy governor. Right.
It says that the deputy governor has to be Caymanian.
Has to be.
Okay. The Constitution also says that a law you can pass that you can pass a law that says that jobs in the public service have to be Caymanians. You can pass a law to say that, and that is not discriminatory against the provisions of the section of the discriminatory sections of Section 16. The law that could be passed should have some exemptions, but what that means is that if you work in the NRA or if you work in the customs and immigration, the police service, the fire service, and the prison service, and all of those services, that the law should be passed. I'm not putting forward the fact that we should just pass the law and don't have Caymanians qualified to do the job. That's not what I'm saying, mm-hmm. because every law has to have some support to it, and so if we are minded to do that, then we should have provisions to train Caymanians for those positions, which we don't have today. There's not much upward training or training for Caymanians. There's not even any technical training, except for a few private people who are doing technical training for Caymanians, notwithstanding the fact that the blue collar people are the largest growing segments of the labor regime. So what do you think about that? About why is it that we don't get these laws into place, like Orrett has saying, the provisions that the Constitution has given us to protect us, we don't even exercise them. What do you have to say about that?
Dr. McField, we couldn't put a law like that in place until, like you say, we get training in place.
Yes.
Look at the second income of the Cayman Islands is revenue income is tourism. Tourism. How long have you heard elected members talk about tourist training school? Have we get one yet?
No.
All right. How long have you heard them talk about these technical schools? I think we started out way back in the day. I don't know whether it was with Dr. Frank. In the back of the library, we had some technical stuff going on, and I know quite a few of the guys that came out of there end up being electricians.
Well, you had Teacher McField with the hotel training and stuff like that as well.
Right,
and Jim Ball with the construction student and the marine school.
And as soon as somebody else get in power, they shut it down. Do you know that America, the blue-collar people in America now is suffering because all the factories were sent out of Detroit and all those places to China and Mexico and other places, and gave a lot of people had to go back to poverty because we had people come out of school without proper education, but yet they could work in a factory. They could put a door on a car, a windshield in a car without having a degree. Now we're having people going abroad, some of our people coming back with degree, and yet they still can't get a job, because all the jobs that within that industry is being filled by people who control the industry. So that is the problem. So if we don't start getting technical, we're gonna be left.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, Lord Graham.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. We're going to take our last commercial break. We do have another caller on hold, so we're going to take that call, and then I want to give Dr. McField, some time to talk about, the challenges that the Electoral Boundaries Commission is having in terms of people participation, as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Ensuring your walls, ceilings, and floors are properly sealed against air leaks is an important step in lowering your monthly energy bills. Even small gaps around windows, under doors, or around lighting and plumbing fixtures can add up to as much air loss as having an open window.
The do-it-yourself energy audits on energy.gov.ky make it easy to find ways to save energy and money in your home or business.
Complete an energy audit of your home or business before 31st of May 2023 to be entered into a prize giveaway. Prizes include a $5,000 gift certificate to Home Gas and gift certificates to Cooling Pros, Foam Pros, Costyless, and Foster's.
To learn more, visit energy.gov.ky today and follow the National Energy Policy on Facebook and Instagram.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
If you're a parent, you know that providing your child with a quality early education can be expensive. However, the Ministry of Education offers funding through the Early Childhood Assistance Program to help Caymanian children attend an early childhood center. This year, the ministry has introduced a new online portal, moeapplications.gov.ky, to make the application process more convenient. Visit the website now to learn more or get started.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve McField. We have one final caller for the morning caller. Good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor.
Good morning. How are you doing, sir?
Okay, and good morning to Dr. Steve.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. Well, when someone is working on a work permit, and if they keep renewing that work permit, that means that the Caymanian doesn't have a chance of getting that job, right?
Possibility?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I've noticed that with a lot of companies around here, and I think they're really worthless, as far as I'm concerned. And a lot of those companies have been doing for a very long time, not hiring Caymanians. And you know who they are, who the capped it, let them wear it. And one of the main ones is flowers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, caller, for that as well. And despite the fact that they, even on a renewal of a work permit, they're required to advertise the post. But the requirement is only on jobs.
On the
jobs portal.
On the immigration job portal.
Right, yeah. And, while the intentions were certainly noble and good in terms of what they were trying to achieve there, it really hasn't achieved that at the end of the day. So you find situations where you submit an application for a renewal, and unless the person is term limited, it is almost automatically, approved,
renewed.
As a renewal.
Yes.
And, call is right to that extent. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, Doc. So I think I have one more WhatsApp before I throw the mic over to you. So we've closed off the phone lines. So this person says, good morning, gentlemen. Would like to know if a resident could have the right to vote, would they also be able to run as a candidate for elections? And that depends on what our Constitution says. Mm-hmm. Right now, it wouldn't, even if we were to make a carve out for the fact and say that as an elector, you did not have to possess Caymanian status if you were a permanent resident, and we could say permanent resident for a given period of time too, as opposed to, just as soon as you obtain. So we could put whatever qualifications or conditions that we wanted on there. But as if we retain the part where the qualifications as an elector, if that stays as it is, then they would have the right to vote, but not the right to stand in an election. And then the person says, what about the legal department? What about succession planning for Caymanians in the legal department? Doc, you can talk a little bit more about that, but we could also say, what about the judiciary? Yes. Where we should have more, Caymanian judges, there who understand the people, of the Cayman Islands as well. Then the person says, do you remember Mr. Dixon? the husband of Miss Orley McLean. He taught at Secondary Modern and in the back of the library as well. So I want to thank that writer for sharing those thoughts with me as well. So, Doc, I'm going to do some research over the weekend to look at that Electoral Boundaries Commission report in 2003, because that article in the then Caymanian Compass in 2009 talks, obviously they were able to get some idea of what was in that report. It says, when will a full and honest discussion on human rights be presented to the people of the Cayman Islands? The news media and government refuses to talk about the Boundary Commission electoral report of 2003. The report must be put in place before the next election to give all of the people equal protection of the laws and one person, one vote to stop the disenfranchisement of over half of the citizens, mostly women. I don't know why that report would have disenfranchised women in 2000. Yeah, in 2003 or 2007. Goes on to say this report will give Georgetown 2 more seats and divide it into 6 single-member voting districts, dropping the cost of getting elected and allowing women a much better chance to get elected. So I guess that's the argument there in terms of women. West Bay and Bordentown will have the same opportunities with the same amount of MLAs as they have today. Goes on to say that it is a shame that the government and its leaders refuse to put the most essential part of our country's human rights puzzle in place. It is downright shameful that our leaders don't have the foresight to engage in full honesty and transparency in the 21st century. They want us to trust them, vote for them, and respect them, forgetting it's a two-way street. I ask all fair-minded people that believe in true democracy and honest government to demand the Boundary Commission electoral report of 2007 be put in place before any election is held. It's the right thing to do for the good of our country and our people. I'm trying to see now if this was a letter. No, this was written by staff. It was an editorial opinion, at that point in time. So
very interesting.
That was very interesting. So I'm going to do some more research on that. But it would appear as if, in that particular case, the Electoral Boundaries Commission, I'm not sure what their remit was, but it wasn't just a focus on boundaries, but it was a report on everything else. But here we see this editorial asking for the government to put things in place so people can be heard. Now we have a situation where things are put in place so people can be heard. You have been having these meetings in the districts, and the attendance has been dismal. So, 6 in one and half a dozen in the other, Doc.
Yes. And the problem that we have is that the people have reached a point now of, they're sort of, I wouldn't say they lost, but they have reached a point of despair where they feel unwanted, unloved, and uncared for, and they have no control about their economic future. They know what the political future is. They don't really care about that. They don't care if 10 people vote in Georgetown or East End or North Side right now, or if people don't vote, and they don't care if the boundaries are changed here and there. That's not what their priorities are at this particular time, place and time in our history. They are worried about they are not only becoming a minority, but becoming a displaced economic minority in their country, where they have to sit and wait for other people to give them handouts to live. We already have families who will never be able to reach above the poverty line in this country, but the government is taking care of them. And they look and they see across the border, across the way, that other people have 2-car garage, their Mercedes-Benz and their BMW parked in the driveway, and their color TV, and their children can afford to pay $1,500 a month to go to a school. And they're saying, why am I not in that position that I have that chance for me and my children and my family? Those are the priorities that I think people are talking about. People cannot survive on what's paid to them right now. $4,000 a month, $3,000 a month cannot help a Caymanian family who's looking to buy a house, who are looking to educate their children, to clothe them properly, to eat good food. Because what's happening now is that even the food that they're forced to eat, because of they don't have the economics means to eat better food, in the long term, it's going to cost the country. It's going to put them in the hospital sometime. It's a terrible reaction of the situation. Those are the things that they are worried and care about. And so that's what some of the reasons why they're not coming out to any political meeting to sit to hear what someone has to say about whether we're going to shift this boundary from this street to the next street or the next street to the next street. They're not interested in that. And what they're interested in is great leadership in the country at this time. When you talk to them, most of them, four out of 5 of them are saying, well, the country has no leadership. The leadership is weak. That people are not looking after their welfare. They're not the priority. They're not first in time. And those are the issues now that Caymanian people will go to the polls when the election comes to vote for. They're not going to be concerned about well this boundary is going to shift from street A to street B and so forth. They're not interested in that. To them, that's all academic. It's the bread and butter things that they are care for, and most of all, it's the fact to be loud and to be cared for in their own country,
and to be first.
I want to leave them with the lyrics of where I begin this morning. It's called "As Time Goes By," and this is what the great song says. And it was during the wartime when war tore people apart, and people were in law, and they had to make the ultimate decision to part. To part. You know the story about the tale. You know the story about that. It says, "You must remember this: a kiss is still a kiss. A sigh is just a sigh. The fundamental things apply as time goes by. And when 2 lovers woo, they still say I love you. On that you can rely, no matter what the future brings as time goes by. Moonlight and love songs, never out of date. Hearts full of passion, jealousy and hate. Woman needs man and man must have his mate. That no one can deny. It's still the same old story. A fight for love and glory. A cause to do or die. The world will always welcome lovers as time goes by." It says that no matter what, that is what the average person is looking for. Looking to be loud and to be cared for in his country. But in this song it says politics always triumphs.
Doc, I want to thank you. Thank you very much. It's been very interesting and exciting conversation that we've been having today. Lots of listener participation as well. Good to hear from people. Give them an opportunity to express their views as well. This person just wanted to know: are there any roadside signs indicating where an electoral or constituency begins and ends? If not, so why? And I would say there that sometimes those maps, the way that they're drawn, it could be extremely complicated.
Difficult to understand.
Yeah. But I do believe that the shape of our constituency is on the elections office website as well. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money. From abroad to yard. Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066. And the Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Resiliency. Visit energy.gov.ky or follow the National Energy Policy on Facebook and Instagram. And by the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey. Visit gov.ky/steps to learn more. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama.
Continuing the Caymanian tradition. Let Cora keep my ground so clean. The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
There's the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.